Russia just did something that changes the entire military balance of the Middle East in a single delivery. Not a diplomatic statement, not a symbolic gesture, not the kind of political maneuvering that makes headlines for a day and disappears without consequence. Russia delivered the S-500 Prometheus missile system to Iran. Not the S-300, which Iran has had for years. Not the S-400, which everyone expected would eventually arrive. The S-500, Russia's most advanced air and missile defense system. The system Russia has barely deployed to protect its own territory. The system that NATO analysts have classified as the most capable integrated defense platform ever created by any nation. That system just landed in Tehran. 12 cargo aircraft, Ilyushin Il-76 heavy transports flying direct from Engels Air Base in Russia to Mehrabad International Airport in Iran. Flight tracking systems captured every aircraft. Commercial satellite imagery captured the unloading operations. Iranian state media captured the ceremony where Revolutionary Guard commanders stood beside the equipment with expressions that said everything about what this delivery means. And the Pentagon's response tells you exactly how seriously Washington is taking this development. Not a press conference, not a diplomatic protest. An emergency CENTCOM-wide communication ordering all regional installations to immediately reassess defensive postures and prepare contingency relocation protocols. That sentence, translated from military language into plain English, means this. Every American base in the Middle East just became significantly more vulnerable. We don't know how to counter this system, and we need every installation to prepare for the possibility that staying in place is no longer survivable. The S-500 doesn't just shoot down aircraft. It doesn't just intercept cruise missiles. The S-500 is designed to engage targets at ranges exceeding 600 kilometers. It's designed to intercept ballistic missiles at altitudes above 200 kilometers. It's designed to track and destroy satellites in low Earth orbit. It's designed to create what military planners call an access denial bubble that makes entire regions of airspace lethal for anything that enters. Iran just acquired that capability. And every American aircraft, drone, cruise missile, and ballistic weapon within 600 kilometers of Iranian territory just entered a threat envelope that didn't exist 48 hours ago. Here's what the S-500 actually does, and why military analysts across the Western world are describing this delivery as a strategic catastrophe. The S-500 Prometheus is not a single weapon. It's an integrated system containing multiple radar arrays, command vehicles, missile launchers, and interceptor types designed to work together as a unified defensive network. The system can track 160 targets simultaneously at ranges up to 800 kilometers. It can engage 20 of those targets at the same time with missiles traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 15. Let me put that in perspective. An American F-35 stealth fighter has a radar cross-section roughly the size of a golf ball. The S-500's 91N6A radar can detect a golf ball at 450 kilometers. The stealth technology that cost the United States $1.7 trillion to develop just became partially obsolete over Iranian airspace. An American Tomahawk cruise missile, the workhorse weapon of every Middle East operation since 1991, cruises at 550 miles per hour at low altitude to avoid radar detection. The S-500's 96L6 low-altitude tracking radar is specifically designed to detect cruise missiles at ranges where interception remains feasible. Every Tomahawk approach vector into Iran now passes through S-500 engagement envelopes. An American B-52 bomber launching standoff missiles from what was considered safe distance now operates within the S-500's maximum engagement range. The aircraft that have enforced American air dominance for 70 years just became targets rather than threats. But here's the part that makes this truly different from previous Russian weapons deliveries to Iran. The S-500 can intercept ballistic missiles, not just short-range tactical missiles. Intermediate-range ballistic missiles traveling at Mach 10 or higher during their terminal descent phase. This is the capability that was supposed to remain exclusively American and Israeli. This is the capability that justified $50 billion in missile defense investment. This is the capability that Iran now possesses. If the United States launches a ballistic missile strike against Iranian nuclear facilities, the S-500 can engage those missiles. If Israel launches its nuclear-capable Jericho III missiles toward Iran, the S-500 can attempt interception. The defensive gap that made Iran vulnerable to first strikes just closed. And Russia didn't just deliver the hardware, Russia delivered personnel. According to intelligence reports emerging in the last 6 hours, approximately 300 Russian technical specialists arrived with the system. These aren't advisors who will train Iranians and leave. These are operators who will run the system alongside their Iranian counterparts for the foreseeable future. Russian soldiers will be pressing the buttons that fire interceptors at American aircraft. That creates a tripwire that didn't exist yesterday. Attack the S-500 batteries, and you're attacking Russian military personnel. Destroy the radar arrays, and you're killing Russian soldiers. The escalation implications of any American strike against this system now include direct confrontation with a nuclear-armed adversary. But the S-500 delivery, as significant as it is, isn't even the most alarming element of what Russia transferred to Iran in the last 48 hours. Because the same cargo aircraft that carried the S-500 components also carried something else. Bastion-P coastal defense systems, the anti-ship missile platform that has made Russian coastal waters effectively impassable for NATO vessels. The system armed with P-800 Onyx missiles capable of striking naval targets at ranges exceeding 500 kilometers. The weapon that travels at Mach 2.5 at sea-skimming altitude, making interception by shipboard defenses extraordinarily difficult. Iran just received the capability to hold every American warship in the Persian Gulf at risk from launch positions deep inside Iranian territory. Think about what that means for naval operations. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is currently positioned in the Gulf of Oman. That carrier, with 5,000 American sailors aboard, is now within range of Bastion-P batteries that didn't exist in Iran 72 hours ago. The Aegis combat system that protects the carrier was not designed to engage Mach 2.5 sea-skimming missiles launched in saturation volleys. The defensive mathematics just changed catastrophically. The 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, within range. The naval support facilities in the UAE, within range. Every American vessel that transits the Strait of Hormuz, within range. But the deliveries didn't stop there. Russian military cargo manifests, intercepted by Western intelligence services and leaked within hours, show additional weapons transfers that expand Iran's offensive capabilities as dramatically as the defensive systems expand its protective umbrella. Kh-47 M2 Kinjal missiles, the hypersonic air-launched ballistic missile that Russia has used against Ukrainian targets with devastating effectiveness, a missile that travels at Mach 10, maneuvers during its terminal phase, and has never been successfully intercepted by any defensive system anywhere in the world. Iran received 24 of them. Those missiles can be launched from Iranian aircraft without the aircraft entering contested airspace. A single Su-35 carrying Kinjal missiles can strike targets in Saudi Arabia, Israel, or any American base in the Gulf from launch positions inside Iranian territory. The S-500 protects the aircraft during launch. The Kinjal reaches the target before any response is possible. Russia has constructed a kill chain that starts with detection, proceeds through protected launch, and terminates with unstoppable impact. And they just handed the entire system to Iran. Let's talk about what's happening across the region right now, because the American military response to these deliveries is already underway, in ways that signal genuine alarm. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest American military installation in the Middle East, has initiated what officials describe as accelerated defensive repositioning. Translation: they're moving aircraft and personnel because the base's defensive systems cannot counter the threats that now exist. The Patriot batteries surrounding Al Udeid were designed for a different threat environment. They can engage ballistic missiles. They can engage cruise missiles. They cannot reliably engage Mach 10 hypersonic weapons. Every commander at that installation now knows they're sitting inside a target that cannot be adequately defended. Similar repositioning is occurring at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, at Al Dhafra in the UAE, at Ali Al Salam in Kuwait. American aircraft are dispersing to secondary locations. Fuel and ammunition stocks are being redistributed. Command functions are moving to hardened facilities. The United States is preparing for the possibility that its bases may be destroyed. That preparation is happening right now. Meanwhile, Israel has gone into full strategic reassessment mode. The Israeli Air Force has conducted simulations against S-500 systems for years, using data extrapolated from S-400 engagements in Syria. Those simulations showed difficult but achievable penetration profiles. The actual S-500 is more capable than the simulations assumed. The actual S-500 is operated by Russian personnel who wrote the targeting algorithms. Israeli military officials reportedly told their American counterparts within hours of the delivery confirmation that the Iran strike window has closed. The surgical strikes against nuclear facilities that Israeli planners have prepared for decades just became significantly more costly, significantly less likely to succeed, and significantly more likely to trigger a response Israel cannot fully defend against. Because here's what happens if Israel strikes Iran now. Israeli aircraft would need to penetrate S-500 coverage to reach targets. Losses would be substantial. The aircraft that survive would deliver weapons against facilities that may or may not be destroyed. And Iran would respond with Kinjal missiles, Bastion-P anti-ship weapons, and every conventional capability it possesses against a country that just lost aircraft it cannot quickly replace. The attack that was always going to be costly just became potentially suicidal. And the Israelis know it. Russia understood exactly what this delivery would accomplish. Russia understood that arming Iran with these systems would neutralize the Israeli first strike option that has kept Iranian nuclear development constrained for decades. Russia understood that protecting Iran protects Russian interests across the entire region. Putin didn't just sell weapons. Putin changed the strategic balance of the Middle East in 48 hours. Let's be honest about what's actually happening here, because the military implications are inseparable from the political context that created them. Russia has been signaling for months that continued American support for Ukraine would have consequences beyond the European theater. Those signals were dismissed in Washington as bluster. Those signals were ignored because the assumption was that Russia wouldn't risk direct confrontation with American interests. That assumption was wrong. This weapons transfer is Russia's response to American policy. It's calibrated precisely to impose costs that exceed anything America can do in response. Consider the asymmetry. America can send more weapons to Ukraine. Russia just made every American base in the Middle East significantly more vulnerable. The cost to America of protecting those bases, replacing aircraft that might be lost, maintaining deterrence against an Iran that can now shoot back effectively, exceeds anything Russia will lose from additional Ukrainian weapons. America can impose more sanctions on Russia. Russia's economy has already adapted to sanction conditions. The energy leverage Russia holds over European allies limits how far sanctions can go, and the weapons are already in Iran. Sanctions don't undeliver systems. America can threaten military action against the transferred systems. That means attacking Russian personnel. That means escalating to direct great power confrontation. That means accepting risks that no American president has been willing to accept since 1962. Russia understood all of this before the cargo planes took off. Russia calculated that America would not respond with force, could not respond with economics effectively, and would be left with no good options. That calculation appears to be correct. The policy choices available to Washington right now are all catastrophic. Option 1. Accept the new reality. Acknowledge that Iran is now significantly harder to attack. Adjust Middle East strategy around deterrence rather than compellence. The problem? Allies like Israel and Saudi Arabia will conclude that American security guarantees are worthless if America won't prevent adversaries from acquiring capabilities that neutralize American power projection. Option 2. Accelerate offensive operations before the systems are fully integrated. Strike Iran now, before the S-500 batteries are networked and operational. The problem? The systems are at least partially operational already. Russian personnel are present. An attack that kills Russian soldiers triggers responses that no one can predict, and the attack might not succeed anyway. Option 3. Negotiate directly with Russia for removal of the systems. Offer concessions on Ukraine, on NATO expansion, on sanctions relief, in exchange for Russian withdrawal of advanced weapons from Iran. The problem? This validates Russia's leverage strategy. It invites Russia to arm every American adversary as a negotiating tactic. It establishes that weapons transfers can extract American concessions. Option 4. Massive conventional retaliation against Russian interests somewhere else. Hit Russian assets in Syria. Strike Russian mercenary operations in Africa. Demonstrate that Russia cannot attack American interests without cost. The problem? Escalation has no obvious stopping point. Russia can respond to attacks on its interests with attacks on American interests. The cycle continues until someone miscalculates. Every option fails. That's not an exaggeration. That's the strategic reality of a situation where an adversary has correctly identified American constraints and exploited them perfectly. Putin didn't make a mistake. Putin made a move. And America has hours to respond before the window for any meaningful response closes permanently. So let's be absolutely clear about what has happened in the last 48 hours. Russia delivered the S-500 Prometheus air defense system to Iran, 12 cargo aircraft, 300 Russian technical personnel, the most advanced integrated defense platform ever exported by any nation, now operational in Iranian territory. Russia delivered Bastion-P coastal defense systems capable of striking American warships at 500-kilometer range. Every vessel in the Persian Gulf is now within the kill zone. Russia delivered 24 Kh-47mm Kinjal hypersonic missiles, Mach 10 velocity, maneuvering terminal phase. 0 successful interceptions in combat history. Now in Iranian possession, American bases across the region are initiating defensive repositioning. Al-Udeid, Prince Sultan, Al-Dhafra, Ali al-Salam, aircraft dispersing, personnel relocating, command functions moving to hardened facilities. Israel has reportedly concluded that the Iran strike window has closed. Surgical operations against nuclear facilities just became significantly more costly and significantly less likely to succeed. Russia has constructed an integrated kill chain protecting Iran from attack and enabling Iran to attack. Detection through S-500 radar, protection through S-500 interception, strike capability through Kinjal and Bastion, the full spectrum of modern warfare delivered in 48 hours. And Russian military personnel are embedded with these systems. Attack the weapons, and you're attacking Russia. destroy the radar, and you're killing Russian soldiers. The escalation tripwire is no longer theoretical. America has hours to respond before these systems are fully networked, fully calibrated, and fully operational. Hours before the integration process completes and the defensive umbrella becomes impenetrable. Hours before the window closes permanently. The Middle East that existed 48 hours ago no longer exists. The military balance that made American power projection possible has fundamentally shifted. The assumptions that guided American strategy for 30 years have been invalidated by 12 cargo aircraft. Putin understood that America wouldn't risk nuclear confrontation over conventional weapons transfers. Putin understood that economic tools have been exhausted. Putin understood that the only thing America could do in response is what America is doing right now: watching, repositioning, preparing for a reality where American bases can be destroyed, American aircraft can be shot down, and American ships can be sunk. The most lethal missile system Russia has ever built is now protecting America's most dangerous adversary. The hours to respond are ticking away, and nobody has figured out what the response should be. Pay attention, because what happens in the next 72 hours determines whether this becomes a manageable crisis or the beginning of a conflict that reshapes the world. The weapons are delivered, the personnel are in place, the clock is running.